Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of It Ends With Us. You guys, I am Brittany Wilder. I'm a wealth and wellness energy healer, and I help ambitious women align their energy so that they can get what they want when it comes to their wealth, their wellness, and their weight loss goals. I have a very special guest with me tonight, you guys. It's like one of my oldest friends. Like we go way back. Tacktown Hilltop. Yes. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Just to preface, 20 years of friendship, a little girl, 23 years. Yep, we've been friends since middle school, sixth grade. That's how far we go back. But my name is Joy Randle, also her favorite Hilltop kid. Also, shout out to Caitlin because we can't ever mention us two without her. I am a small business owner. I operate Sparks of Joy, which is my local grant writing organization, and I also work as an operations manager for the deputy mayor, Justin Farrell, here for the city of Seattle. So that's me. That's what I do. Thank you for
Put
having me,
some respect
darling.
on my name.
Yeah,
Some
mommy's got to do
respect.
the job.
Listen, I don't think you guys understand how important this is. The fact that we made it out of our city and made it out of our hood and are doing something good for the
That
community and
part.
for the overall is a blessing. I don't want to even talk about how many people we went to school with that are still in the same space, struggling and going through it.
One of the things that I'm most proud of is more so that, like, yes, while I've moved out of Tacoma, people all know the Tacoma Seattle war is really real, which is so
Oh, but
crazy to me because we're about 45 minutes away from each other with traffic an hour. But really, it's about the Black community, right?
yeah.
And being able to be one. And that's one of the reasons why I joined the city of Seattle is that one Seattle vision. And having taken my community experience being from Tacoma and applying that here in the city to be able to say, collectively I've made such an impact on the Black community, and not just with the city of Seattle but also with the nonprofit work that I've been able to do. We did 1.2 million before the third quarter in
Pop
grants,
that
and
thing.
that's just, listen,
Pop that
putting
thing.
money in Black nonprofits business owners
Big money.
into Black service for youth, for the community,
Correct.
for homeowners.
What
And
did
that's
you
my
do?
thing. That's my credit to Tacoma, right? I don't even worry about what our past is like. It's like
Yep.
we went from homelessness to hunger to
All
just
the
not being in the position to graduate or go to college, to now I'm a part of policy conversation, budgets, finance,
way.
coordination for big things like parks, for big
Yep.
things like transportation, for
Yep.
grants, for scholarships, for I'm going to galas to make sure that little kids like us can still do stuff like we do. So
Right.
that's
It.
my credit to Tacoma. Like, hey, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it not too far. Not
That's
too far.
it. I'm right
Right?
here. Hey, I'm still right
Right.
here. Still
And you're
helping
doing the
out.
thing in Atlanta, girl. But honestly, let's talk about how your stuff gets to reach everybody. And that's one of the things that I talk about is like the impact of the work that you're doing. Get into it, Brittany, because I get to watch. I get to watch.
Let's do it. Listen, you guys, y'all already know It Ends With Us has been on my heart. It's been on my heart for a long time. God put it on my heart a long time about generational curses. I have so many that I've had to fight and slay and be on the front line for, that I was like, God, this is not fair that my ancestors didn't come through for me when I needed them to come through for me, even though they're coming through right now. But listen, generational curses, that's what we're talking about, you guys. So I'm going to ask the first question. Miss Joy, you can just answer whatever you feel on your heart. What is a generational curse, a cycle, a family pattern that you've noticed that has to break in your family?
And I know we talked about this. So this was a prep call. We do our business, we do our research, we try to, as much as we can, plan things out and coordinate. We talked about this before the call. We had so many plans for this call. And now here we are having to adjust.
Here
And I'm
we
going
are.
to adjust my response
Okay.
because a lot of what you highlighted on these last couple of minutes kind of changed my thought process. I'm gonna give you an example. When it comes to mindset, right? And it could
Yes.
literally be anything. Um, I didn't realize that the generational curse of whether it's mental health or positive thinking or your inner self voice until so many years have passed, right? You can only know what you're subjected to and what you experience. And so, just to share some background, I have a narcissistic, mental health suffering mother. And she's a very victim mentality. So everything is always why me, why me, why me, and it's never my fault. I know you guys see the memes and the things that come around. It's like when you try to talk to your parents about your childhood experience and like, I'm just a bad parent then, right?
Yep.
And they make everything
Me.
about
Yep.
girl, yes. And
Yep.
so been my experience. And of course it makes me feel delusional. That's like the gaslighting and all of that.
Yep.
But it wasn't actually a point in my life where I was like, okay, this has to stop. I first had to recognize that I was becoming that negative person. Like I was so unhappy in my childhood and didn't know because
Mhm.
Brittany, you and I, we make everything's a joke to us, and we
Of
laugh
course.
about. Listen,
It's
don't
always
take life
funny.
serious. Cause what? Stand up. Be
What does
you
my mom
cool,
say? What does she
girl.
say?
Listen,
If I
Monique ain't
don't
got
laugh
nothing on
about it,
us.
I will cry about it. That is the way I operate in
And
life.
then right, and then I'm gonna get over it because those are the only options you got,
That's
right?
it.
But I was just so miserable with my life and just so miserable with my interactions. And it wasn't someone that was like, you really need to figure this out. It was raising my sister, right? And realizing how she experiences me and
Yeah.
what that influence looks like. And it's just like hearing yourself back, right? You're like, no, wait, why am I cursed with this name Joy? And I'm just such, everything is, the only thing I pay attention to is negative stuff. What is
Mhm.
this? Why,
Mhm.
what? Why?
Yeah.
And then I really had to look back and I'm just like, there was no one to show me how to be happy. There
Yep.
was no one to show me how to frame my mental process. Going to
Right.
therapy, they talk about your feelings, they
Yep.
don't really talk about how to assess the triggers. You know, when you're just doing talk therapy, it's just kind of like their assessment of things, but they're not really helping. In my experience, when I say they, my
Right.
experience was they were not helping me identify the root cause of why I was thinking this way in order to change how. And that's
Yeah.
me learning through ADHD now and autism. I have to understand the why before I can figure out the how.
Yep.
And knowing that my direct influence of happiness stems from my mother and that being my only influence, of course I'm going to emulate that. That's the only way I know how to deal with problems, to constantly be bitter and be miserable.
Mhm.
And hearing that back, and not saying my sister was miserable, but like the drama, the everything's a story and everything's always somebody else's fault. And I'm like, dang, how is it my life and it's about everybody else?
Correct. Yep.
Right. And knowing that being happy and being at peace are two different things.
Yeah.
And it was really that going through so much, processing that, right? Of like, these things didn't happen to you because you're a terrible person. I don't believe the God angel ancestors looked at me like, you're the one that deserves to suffer the most, Joy. Uh, it's none of that, right? And a lot of it is just, a lot of it in childhood was out of your control, right?
Yeah.
And going back and looking at those first 18 years of life, realizing that there are some things that I have to own now, right? I can sit up here and at 36 talk about my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom. My mom's
Right.
the reason. I have other siblings, I have step siblings that that's still their story.
Oh, yeah.
And part of being able to own who I am is owning that story. But that story is what's in your brain, right? That your
Mhm.
behaviors, your thoughts, your
Yeah.
beliefs are
Yeah.
all on this core story of like, was I hurt in my childhood? Absolutely. What
Absolutely.
was I exploited? Were things difficult? Yes. To
Right.
suffer is to live, but there's so much to be proud of. There's so much for me to let go of. And I never wanted to own a lot of that pain.
Yeah.
And I never wanted my sister to look at me in my life and think the only thing that my sister passed on to me is how to make money, and how to be funny and how to dress. Cause you know she's hilarious and you know
Yeah.
she a
Yeah.
10, right? Top to
Yeah.
bottom, she ain't got
That's
it.
it.
Um,
That's it.
that part, right? But the reality was like I wanted her to find peace in herself and peace in myself to be like, you know, I could sit up here and be a miserable, terrible person because of all the things that have happened to me. And my thing wasn't to attach my happiness to one story or to one instance. Don't get me wrong, I chase dopamine every day. But it's more so of like the reason I am is not because of what once was. I I choose. to say, of all the things that have influenced my life, I would rather prevent this from someone else because I know how hard it feels to process. I know how hard it is to know how to dream, right? To have a positive conversation. I want to be that person that my sister calls to be able to go through things and to acknowledge her growth, to be
Yes.
able to say, to give space to knowing that I'm wrong, to allow for someone else's story because it's not my experience. Until you can do that, I feel like that misery is always going to, it's a hole, right? With
Oh,
no bottom, no
oh yeah.
bottom.
Oh yeah.
And that's a
Constant.
generational curse. It's
Yes.
because I'm pretty sure my mom learned that from her mother
Yes.
or in generations above, right? And that comes with so many different things, you know. It's not just about the misery, it's also about, like I said, the mental health. There
Yep.
was no one to teach me how to do these things, right? We didn't grow up with positive reinforcement in your brain, right? I'm the
That,
A
all of
hater could never tell me nothing my brain hasn't already told me.
that's it. The biggest critic. What? It's up here.
That's why things are funny to us because it's like I've had it way worse than this moment.
Correct.
I've had You think that you as a stranger could tell me things bad about myself that me myself I don't already know.
I've already said.
Right, you calling me whatever, and this is where I tell people like bring back bullying. I don't mean it realistically. What I mean is
Right.
like when you process in your minds being a perfectionist and wanting to be better, you don't hold space for someone to give worser comments. Because I know me and I know my bigger weakness is letting myself down and not being good enough, right? But finding that piece of like, this is all a self expectation. This is also unrealistic expectations. You can't be everything to everybody,
Never. Never could.
which also shows up in relationships, right? And that's my thing. It's like there wasn't one moment, it was the self-reflection, right? And wanting to be better, wanting to feel better because like I said, the thoughts control the behaviors that control your action. Everything is
Thank you.
interrelated. And I was tired all the time, I was angry all the time, I was sleeping all the time, I was going through it. And so much of what our lives are what we think it is.
Yes.
And until I start to think differently, I won't believe differently. I won't feel differently. All of that misery is what I call a family contract. It is that generational gift of like the anxiety I learned from my family, constantly worrying about everyone. I didn't sign up for this. And there's a
No.
specific book that I'll plug. It's Ho'oponopono. And I love cultural references to understanding self and life's journey. And
Yes.
it's a Hawaiian word for basically like, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, and something else. And I'm paraphrasing here just because I give this book to people. I read it once and did a lot of self reflection and internalized a lot about it to be able to understand like you got to forgive yourself for all
Yes.
that time spent being in that. You didn't know. You didn't
No.
know.
You just thought that was what it was. We're born into it. That's why it's a generational curse. We are born into this type of thinking. We're born into this type of mindset, this type of the way that we speak about things, the way that we even think life is supposed to be.
Your
How
hopes,
many
your
times have we
dreams
heard?
are all structured around this
Yeah.
immediate circle. And it's why I do so big about expansion and speaking to strangers and putting myself in different experiences because I'm trying to expand what grace looks like, what peace looks like. Not so much happiness, but the more I understand, the more I give space to a different reality other than my world is just me and this is it and this is all I know. But
Right.
going through the book, it talks about your family contracts that and this is for people who believe that when you're born, you choose your parents, you choose your
Yeah.
struggles, you choose your karmic
That whole theory.
contracts.
Yes.
Right, right. And if that's what you believe, cool. I'm not saying that I do or don't. What I'm saying is my understanding of family contracts is like when you think of your birth placement, the oldest is always the one that usually bears the responsibilities and gets in trouble the most. You think about it, or the baby, always spoiled,
Yep.
or then the overlooked middle child, or you're talking about the only son.
Up to the
All
middle.
Right, right, outside, outside. And the second born's always elite. I have to tell people that. Shout out to all my second borns.
Yeah.
We're the problem solvers, right?
Hey, hey.
Uh, but yeah, there's you have a choice to end family contracts, right? And that is the survivor's remorse, the
Yep.
what I call the black tax. Like when you make it, when you're the first in your family to graduate college
Yep.
and you land that six-figure job, it is your job to give money to the family. And that's the thing, it's like we talk about boundaries and mental health and all of these things as if they're all new, taboo, and stigma. It's not that. It's essentially what breaks family contracts. It's
Correct.
what breaks generational curses to say,
Yep.
this hasn't worked without balance, without boundaries, without me being able to prioritize. That's the gift my ancestors gave, right? Like out of the genealogy of, I think it's like 1 in 100,000 of your lineage, you made it. So
Yep.
knowing that your job is to make the life and experience of future generations better, that's the tool, right? That's the gift, is
Yep.
you at least have the knowledge to know, hey, I've looked at the last 2, 3 generations, and this is why it hasn't worked.
Yep.
I looked at my direct influences. I've looked at my choices. And it's hard, especially with someone who has autism and ADHD, which is me, my late diagnosis, is
Uh-huh.
understanding now that it's going to be a lot harder for me because the way I process the world, I'd love to be a normal, functioning, neurotypical person to
Oh,
wake
but what
up.
is
It would
normal?
be a joy. It would be a joy, to just be able to get up, brush my teeth, and handle life
And just
accordingly,
roll out.
unwavered by life, being able to process decisions in a minute and feeling confident without having to weigh things or worry or overanalyze. And that's that thing, is like creating practices and behaviors and knowing that it's going to be messy. You're not going
Oh,
to be, it's not a foolproof plan.
no.
And that's that self forgiveness, is always giving yourself grace, which is a lot harder to do, as single mothers do. Uh, it's it's just different when you're able to scope out and scope in as necessary. Our
Mhm.
lives have very much been, or at least my generational curses, all of the women before me are very much siloed, which is like, my life is so hard, my life is so hard, my life is so hard. And it's like, my life is so hard, and I'm still grateful for it. And my daughter won't have this experience. And my friends will be so happy to be around me because I know their life is hard too. And it's not always about me.
No. We all here together trying to make it work. Trying to make it work. I love how you went through, you hit, the first question I asked, hit the second one, but
Right, we
sliding
gonna
into
give
the
our time
third.
effectively.
The second one is, how did that pattern show up in your life? You gave us, different examples of that, about working through and figuring out how to find happiness for you. What does that look like? Working through that. Um, what was the moment that you realized it had to stop with you, right? Because that's really it. You said, you looked at your family, you looked at your mom, you heard the things that she said as, you grew up and all the above, and started kind of seeing that in yourself when you started raising your sister. Shout out to you, because I did the same thing with mine.
Listen, you're not a big sister till you somebody's mama, but
Take
that's your
take 'em in,
sister, right?
take
That's
'em
why I
in.
always said, Shine, I'd be like, so are my sons, or those my grandsons? Because I'm your mama. And
That's
so she's like, anyways, um,
right.
I can narrow it down to, I think the first step that I took, and we, like I said, we talk
Yeah,
about family contracts. My family contracts is very similar to yours, which is why we started off being close friends, which is,
yeah,
it's our job to take care of everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's our job to fill
yeah,
in those gaps and voids with people, um, because that's what family does.
right.
And it was my college graduation party. So we were graduating at the same time. So obviously we were missing from each other's graduations, but
Of course.
um my mother was asked by my daughter's father's mother, if she wanted to be a part of planning the celebration. And she said, no, thank you. I will leave that up to whoever's doing it, which was my daughter's father's mom.
Okay.
And she was like, thank you for allowing me to try to incorporate your family. And I was like, hey, if you need anyone, Cheyenne. That's
Boom.
that's
That's it. She don't
Right, that's all I got, right? So Cheyenne was a part of my planning. My daughter's father was also a part of it. Shout outs to him. Like I said, the White family all together really made an impact on not only making sure that I graduated, but making sure that I was celebrated. And at the graduation party, my dad came. My dad not only came, he brought his 2 children. Now, mind you, dads, you already know my dad, not an emotional man, not much of a talker.
Very quiet.
Right. He's a nerd. The man's been working for Dell. You get him on the phone, he's talking about computer chips and microbytes.
Right.
But don't ask me about Nathan. None of that. I can troubleshoot some IT stuff, but I don't know hardware. Um, but he showed up. And when my mom, who hasn't seen him, mind you, they've been divorced for over 20 years at this point,
Yeah.
instead of her acknowledging that, one, the backstory is I'm not this man's biological child. I'm a stepchild, and he chose to maintain a relationship with me, still call me his daughter, had me around his children, his wife, and his family, who've all been a major influence on my decisions to elevate myself in education and career. Instead of her being grateful, she proceeded to talk crazy about my dad. And mind you, they've not spoken in over 20 something years.
Years,
The man,
decades.
the man paid his child support for a kid
Did
that
what he
wasn't
needed
even,
to do.
listen, wasn't even
Did
his
more.
job.
Did more than what he needed to do. I,
And gave me the family that's here to celebrate. He's taken flights with his own biological children and is
yeah.
present at a moment trying to celebrate me. And somehow in this moment, you made it about you. And not
Mm.
only made it about you, she grabbed the mic. And all the anxiety in my life, I started having panic attacks right around this time and didn't know that's what they were. She grabbed the mic and was just like, I just want to take the time to thank everyone here who was able to step up when I couldn't. And that word of could not,
Couldn't.
rather than decided not to. And it wasn't just in a celebration. We know, I don't need to give the backstory. I've
Oh,
spoken about, what my mom deals with and her
yeah.
having 4 kids. It's not easy for you to show up for every single one of them. I have one and I be tired as hell, right? We not even going to conferences today. School just started. We don't need to meet about nothing.
We
Okay.
good. We
Not a
good.
damn
We
thing.
good.
She going? All right.
Good. All right. Yeah.
Listen, y'all got my money for your school supplies. You don't need my time
That's it.
past
What
5 o'clock. No,
else?
this ain't a paid meeting. Okay. Email me. I'm responsive.
That's it.
But
That's it.
yeah, so uh just that comment and her just being in a moment of celebration that wasn't about her. You projected your misery, you led with your issues that you hadn't resolved in 20 years. On top of that, wild
That's not
story,
the place.
right? Like, read
You
the
can
room.
call that man.
But read the room. He's remarried, and you cheated. So what is you really mad at?
Correct.
One making no, like I said, victim mentality,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that was the moment that I had to create boundaries. And mind you, my family flew in from New York, and my uncle and stuff were there, and it was amazing celebration. And so after everybody had left, I had told my uncle, her baby brother, who and I are close. You know, Uncle Jason. He says hello,
Mhm.
by the way. My grandparents
I
also say hi.
said,
Brittany is the
I
favorite of my
love
family. Like
him.
my black side and my white side be like, how is Brittany doing? Listen, I'd be like, listen, she's running a business. She's also working a job.
Girl,
She's a mom. She's in Atlanta. She's doing her thing. She dropped a
girl.
book. Like she's doing it all. So just know you a local celebrity in the Randall
Oh, my
Harriman
said
household
hey.
over here. So so yeah, it was a conversation I attempted to have with my mom, like, hey, I'm not going to bring up my childhood, but I didn't appreciate in this moment when this man has gone above and beyond for me to show up for me. You decided to make this moment about you and make it really negative.
Yeah.
And immediately it went into victim mode of, I guess I can't just talk about my feelings. I guess we only get to talk about your feelings, and then the tears. And I was like, I've tried my best
Yeah.
because I got pressure from my whole family. They're Christian, but they're also, you just accept very accepting of behaviors and everything that was just like, that's your mom. That's your mom. You gotta forgive her and move on. And it's like, it's not about forgiveness, it's about tolerance. I
Yes.
cannot tolerate you being a
No.
part of my life, exhibiting behaviors that I know that I need to change,
Correct.
because that direct influence will put me back in that space. So
Yep.
my boundary is, until you can get better, you don't need to be around me. And
That's
then
it.
a year or so later, I wound up getting pregnant with my daughter, and I made the executive decision my mom wouldn't be around my daughter until she could start being better.
Yeah.
And to this day, she's only seen her maybe 4 or 5 times, and my daughter's 10, because she has not made that effort. And until that happens, until you can respect that
Yeah.
boundary of, I don't want to give my daughter a perfect life, but I want her to understand when we're going through things that she needs to be accountable. She needs
Yep.
emotional regulation. She
Yep.
needs to know her feelings are respected and she's in a safe space.
That's right. And that she can't get that with you. That's
She
yeah.
has an amazing grandmother. Shout out to Cynthia White. Like I said, the White family's killing it. My daughter's all things amazing. Her dad's side is definitely locked in for the generational influence. I got my aunts Mary, Gil, all the
Yeah.
Jimenez family. She is not
Tapped
lacking,
in.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Family, loving, it's okay. But
Yeah, but protect your child from those energy transformers, those
mm,
monitoring spirits.
mm,
Protect your child from not so much from that generation. I'm not trying to cut her off by any means. What I'm saying is she right now at 10 years old and even before that is an emotional sponge.
yes,
And if I already know I'm working on figuring out to not have those triggers bring me back to those moments of it's me, and it's my interpretation of what happened. And it's all these feelings that I've never been able to address. She's never gonna learn.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Good for you for putting up the boundaries. I know that shit's hard.
Girl, it's hard
It's
because I
hard.
still get the ask every single time I call anybody in my family. They're like, "How's your mom?" And I'm like, "Great question. Call Cheyenne." Because I'm not the family manager anymore. I used to feel that weight, like I said,
Yep,
that contract of like
yep.
keeping
I
everybody
gotta keep everybody
together.
together. I gotta make sure I check in on who and who and who. I gotta make oh, they mad at each other. Let me fix it. Nah.
I literally had to get between my sisters and I was like, yo, check this out.
Yeah,
You're mad at her for how you weren't supported, and because she's being supported now, so this is the oldest and the baby,
yeah,
right? And you're the problem because instead of saying it hurts me that our family was not there supporting me at the time that I decided to have a baby at a young age, and now I'm
right.
seeing that the baby sister gets that because we are 6 years different. So of course I'm 24 and
Everybody's showing up
right,
and
and I'm grown, right? And I didn't
yeah,
have kids until I was 27. So of course
right.
when the baby sister's oldest came, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
That's my first. So I tell everybody that's my son. Of course it's gonna be different. I was 17 when the oldest got pregnant. I'm in high school. Girl, what you want me? I'm trying to graduate. I'm
I ain't even
barely
got no money. I think I gotta
girl.
I don't
We
know.
got two siblings. I'm still trying to take care of and get through high school. You want to ask me to take care of a newborn? I can't even wake up on time.
Yeah. It was just a different time. It was just a different time, different
Right.
season.
And I can apologize for my part in that, even though I too was a child. But I was like, until you can acknowledge that, don't talk to me about our baby sister because I'm trying to get out of this mode where it's everybody's problem to address my feelings. No, it's not.
That's right.
It is your responsibility. I'm not saying people don't play their parts. What I'm saying is you can't be digging on her, taking jabs at her because
Mhm.
you're unhappy with the treatment from our mother. You see what I'm
That's it.
saying? You're repeating a cycle that I refuse to participate. So don't use my number. You calling about the baby. And I know I play favorites, right? Because everybody know me and Shy been locked in.
Of
That's
course.
twin.
Of
That's
course.
twin. But also better behaviors and having somebody reinforce that is what's going to be I need external reminders. I need the room. And sometimes, like I said, angels, ancestors, and God send me 222 888. Check yourself.
Come on. Come on. 444's been going down over here.
Listen,
444 into fruition, baby. It's been going down.
matter of fact, how it shows up, and I always tell people this is the thing that you want and worry about the most is never going to come because you haven't had the best practices around it.
Yeah.
When my money's tight, and it's just not coming in the way, what am I worried? What negative behaviors?
Yep. What's happening? What am I
Because
blocking? What energy is blocking the money from what is it? Dig up the root and figure it the fuck out. That's
and
it.
that's
That's
that
the only
cool.
choice.
That's how you use, and that's the crazy part that's it's a stepping stool, right? To be able to address other behaviors is being
Right.
able to scope out of the mindset of my world is me and woe is me. And this is, don't get me wrong, there are moments, and this is where the catch 22 is constantly being strong is I don't let myself, make excuses,
Yeah.
but I also need to find that balance of giving myself grace. I have to stop feeling like I am responsible for absolutely everything that happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like you got to adjust the scale because you get too much in the accountability, too much in the self reflection. You start thinking absolutely I stubbed my toe,
Everything.
girl,
It's all
because
me.
I was doing stupid shit. It
Right.
ain't that neither,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Then there's just some things that are just lessons. Like you just needed that lesson, and that's just how you walked into it. And it is what it is. You needed that lesson for this next step, and boom. Like, had
And
you
some
not did
things will
that,
just happen. Some things will just happen. I always have to tell people, like, as much as I want to revert everything to a sign from God, to a sign from God, to a sign
lifeline.
from God, it's people will have free will.
Yeah.
I think we forget
There's
people have
that
free will. And,
heavily.
and what that means is someone's going to naturally going to want to disrupt your peace because they are a demon. And that ain't got nothing to do with you and God. Nothing.
Is what it is. That's just is what it is.
And that's the conversation I tend to have. Matter of fact, we can jump into that because that's what led me to this is, and I'm not putting nobody's business out in the street. My sister called me to talk to me about some drama adjacent things. And when I say she was directly not involved in it, but she and I go through this thing as we try to process why people do make bad decisions in reference to us, right? Like, and I had to tell her, this is how I've chosen to now acknowledge this, right? Because I had a guy I was talking to, this is me being transparent with him, like, hey, you were talking about an ex most recently, and I just wanted to share a story I was going through. One of my exes got married, had a couple of kids, and mind you, I'm very out of sight, out of mind. Shout out to ADHD because I don't never miss you ever if you're not in my face, and it's not personal. It's all love. But if you're not in front of my, I don't miss you, dog. I don't miss you. I know. Shout out to everybody. I know you're doing good.
The way
um,
I'm made. Okay, I'm sorry.
Listen, if we friends, you know this. If you know me, you know this. It's not that I
I'm
don't want to
good.
see you. I don't want to. It is if our relationship ended and you're not in front of me, I'm not thinking about you.
I'm on to the next. I'm on to the.
I'm waiting for the next train, babe. Can't be worried about the train that passed. What
That's
am I supposed
it.
to do about
Gone.
that?
It's already gone.
So I had reached out to him. Him and I were casually talking, and he was like, "Oh, how's your day?" And I was like, "Just got off the phone with my baby sister, and I was talking to her about how this ex boyfriend that I had from my freshman year in college got married, has 2 kids, and followed me on Instagram most recently." And I struggle to understand why people in relationships tend to still monitor people or engage or whatever you call following people on social media. Why that's a thing? And he immediately interrupted my story and started just projectile vomiting about how I was welcoming that into my space and that I'm allowing that energy to disrupt me. And there's something in my spirit that is allowing this. And I said, I don't think we know each other well enough to make those assumptions. What I've noticed is I tend to process things externally, which is also a healthy coping mechanism
Yeah,
to,
that's how I.
I'm trying to better understand people's process and behaviors
Right.
and not necessarily internalize. And he was like, well, you're giving voice to it. You're giving it power by talking about it. And I'm like, is that regression? Is that I listen, what works for you does not define things for me. And when my sister calls me to share a similar story and I share with her what happened, she goes, it's not that. This is how we process, right? Like the audacity is some people to think not only do we still care, but you have access to a version of me that no longer exists. And I
Ah,
said, I'm gonna be really honest with you. What I've decided to do in this instance is to say, one, good job, Joy. Because the old Joy would be, I'd be in this drama. You think Nicki Minaj got Twitter fingers? Oh, I am Donald J. Trump saying stupid shit when you
all
set
types
me
of.
off.
Right, because
The
I'm pissed. Because now
come
I'm
to the
pissed.
bullet. Pew, pew, pew.
I'm
That's old Joy. Shoot first, don't ever apologize. But
That's it.
now I'm like, this is how I know some people don't grow up, some people don't
Yes.
heal, some people don't.
Yes.
We all have this belief we are all capable of change. Yes, because we're
Yes.
human, we have brains, we have hearts, we have blood, oxygen we are all capable of many things.
Yeah.
God empowered that in us, right? The mind's a powerful place. Not all of us have that desire, not all of us have
Amen.
that drive, that commitment, that interest. On
Determined.
top of that, not all of us have that self-evaluation in order to say, I need to be better, or this
Yeah.
is a toxic behavior. I should not be trying to reach out
Change.
to someone.
Yep.
I
That's
said, but look how far you've come. Let's celebrate that. Let's
absolutely.
I look at the fact that the instead of responding, what'd you do? Call your big sister to laugh. Like, and I'm so happy that you know that I'm going to be that person in your corner celebrating you and not asking you. And that's the thing. I started to have friends that I had to cut off because they were just encouraging those negative behaviors of like, I wouldn't be mad if you got back with an ex. What? You should be mad.
What?
You should be
Try
embarrassed.
to ruin me. Ruin me. What?
Anybody who encourages you to spin the block on anybody that's disrespected you,
That ain't
whether
it.
it's
That's my
repeated or
friend.
otherwise, ain't really your friend. And that's the gems I'm dropping
They
for
don't
the
get it.
next generations.
They don't
Okay.
get it. And
Get
it's
a
true.
support, get a support system that knows it's about those behaviors.
Right.
And and it's really about acknowledging when and where you need to grow. And you can't walk people that's to that line if you don't think it's important for you to not
Yes.
have healthy boundaries on social media and not engaging with anyone you had an intimate romantic partnership with. Hey,
Right.
that's you.
Yep.
That But if I'm in a relationship, let alone if I'm focused on finding the love of my life, which I am, if this reaches my husband, let him,
I got
send the
you.
track, send the tracking number, right?
Like
Because
slide in them DMs. She ready. Did you not hear what she said? Slide in the
I
DM.
made the work do what it do, right? Like
You did what I needed to
I'm
do.
making space, intentional space, and that means that you don't have
Free
to
it up.
question the men that are around me because I'm not keeping those type of people. Like, yes, you're a good
Correct.
person, and yes, we might not have ended on bad terms, but we
Right.
engaged in a manner in which that is intimate. That should not be something that I keep in or around me when I'm actively seeking a partnership with someone else. And like I said, that may be my standard or my expectation, but I don't support that, and that's been an experience. But like I
Yeah.
said, those tools are being able to apply that rationale of, is this a positive behavior? Is this something that I'm conditioned to do? Does this benefit future Joy? Right? Because
Right.
Joy right now is in transition.
Right. Yeah.
She's the bus in motion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Shifting. Things are shifting. Things are changing. Things are constantly. Yeah. Because you have a desire to be better and want better and attract better. And
And that's on my heart. And I want better for other people. I want better for the people around me. I want better for the people that are struggling, and full
yes,
circle, that's how that shows up in my job, right? Is
absolutely.
understanding that I'm not a servant, I'm of service, and that's why I'm in the operation roles that I'm in, or I'm in the grant writing roles that I'm in, because I want to be able to serve my community in a manner in which I know will benefit everyone in the long run. You might not agree with my methods, and that's okay,
Yeah.
but I don't own any part of the toxic process, which is why I'm in operations, right? I don't want to lead from the front, because I wish, I wish there was a position in which you could lead organically without being scrutinized, and or everything you say and do is not internalized. But until that happens, I'm here chilling,
Right there.
doing my big one. uh,
What is some advice? What is some advice you would give somebody who is in the same situation with the same generational curse that you're dealing with? What is the advice that you would give them to start their healing journey, to get to a space where you are, where you're constantly, being able to check in and do the self reflection and all the things? What would you tell somebody who is in the beginning stages, I guess, of discovering that, oh, this is a generational curse, this mentality of my family and the things that I've heard all my life is that?
um, I think that, like I said, the therapy part helps. And when I say it's not so much go to therapy, find somebody that can help you translate those feelings, right?
Yes.
Whether it be a book or a journal or a podcast, or that's that external part, right? Because when I first started, I didn't know it was a generational curse. I just knew that this is all I knew.
Yeah.
And I was sitting around like, I wish this wasn't happening. I wish. And then it turned into, okay, excuse me. Okay, okay, Joy, you're wishing for all these things and these empty wishes. What is this really happen? What is really happening? And I had a mentor. Shout out to Kevin Remke, also a guy I swear has autism. He's just a pure genius.
Wow.
And he was my supervisor when I was at Progressive handling claims. And I was so frustrated with how things were going in my careers, being with consulting and stuff. And he's just like, you have a general idea of what it is that you want to do, and you keep talking about these wishes.
Yeah.
How about you sit down and you go over your vision? And your vision could be an impossible dream, right? And you just take some time. Literally, I took a week off from work, and he
Yeah.
was just like, and map it out. If you could have things your way,
Yep.
what would it look like? Right. And so he was just like, dream on paper, do a journal. I don't, however you have to externally visualize this. And I had started about like 2019 was when we shut things down with COVID, and that's essentially when the George Floyd stuff started happening. And I'm internalizing all the stuff, the white adjacency, the just everything. And I'm like, all
Everything.
right, I need some dial back time, okay?
Tough
Because
times. Tough times, man. Tough times.
girl,
Tough.
listen, being black in America is a constant struggle, okay? And just showing up in the workplace, I can't give you 100% of myself, because the 80% black that I am is being questioned daily on why I'm doing any of this. Um, and so it was sitting in that discomfort, sitting in those tears, and it's just like, this is
Yeah.
all the things that I want, right? And it wasn't so much I want $1 million, I want a big old house, I want to be able to not work. It's more so like I want the passionate things that I know how to do to be celebrated. I want to be a decision maker. I want to influence the wellness and positive change and equity, and I want to uplift underdogs. And that started first in my career, right? Which is kind of like, okay, well, is what I'm doing aligned with that? Well, then no, you take an inventory at that point, right? Which is if this is the core of who you are and you want to show up organically you need to better align yourself and you start making cuts.
Yep.
So that's my thing is
Yep.
like start with that inventory, right? Like where you're at right now
Yep.
and in inside, outside, in that dream. I think that's the part of like growing up in survival mode. No one teaches how to dream,
Yep.
right? Or
Yep.
your
You
dreams
get
are
quick.
just little wishes, right? Like I wish I had $1 million. The end, right? I wish I won the jackpot.
Yep. That's it. Because we struggling. We in struggle mode.
Right,
We
survival mode, right?
trying to
From I want to
survive.
get from point A to Z. I ain't worried about the rest out of it, right?
That's,
But
yeah.
but it's really about from A to B that inventory, and then starting to make those healthy reductions because that's the first thing is because I'm ADHD, I have a pile system, and so this exercise was very on point to know that all of who I am and what I have and what I want is in this pile.
Yeah.
Okay, now I need to sort the pile, right?
Yep. Go
What are
forward.
all the things that I want to do? What are all the things that align with who I am?
Yep.
How is this going to work? And what's got to go? And that what's got to go was bigger than what I am,
Yeah. Yeah.
what I possess.
Yep.
When what's got to go, when all the bullshit got to get cut and it's fat, you look at a steak, you think about ground beef. How many times you go to the grocery store and you trying to find that 5 or 7% fat ground beef, okay? Or
Right.
that perfectly marbleized New York steak strip, or the
Mhm.
filet mignon with the right fat to weight ratio.
Right.
You
Yeah.
gotta know, you gotta know how to cut it.
Yeah.
And you gotta find that everything's not gonna be perfect and you're not gonna be able to purge every bad thing out of your life, but you're gonna be able to get out of your own way.
Correct. Distractions. That's what it ultimately is, a distraction that's distracting me from getting to the next step of what I truly want in this life. It's a
And we can get into
distraction.
that. What does that look? How does that show up? I tell people if you look at your whole day, right? And people will who have these trackers. I got plenty of them, right? Where you get a planner and you can plan out your whole life.
Yeah.
You can actually take a daily inventory of how you spend your time,
What do you
hour
do?
to hour, 10-minute
What
increments.
you do?
Amazon's got these little things you can pay $5, $7 for. You can go to the dollar store; they're there too, right?
And
And
you just
you
map it
just
out.
map it out
Uh-huh.
and you realize what you give your attention to is
Right.
what manifests in your life and that includes that negativity, that includes that survival mode. Like I said, it's a never ending hole, and making that decision, how am I going to get myself out of this? And I hope that the advice that I land with people is that one, when you don't know how, to ask for help
Amen. At any given time.
at any given time.
At any given time. Even in the process, if you're like, dang, I started, but I don't think I got it. Can you help me?
You think God literally gonna wait until we figure it out to love us? You really think you gonna make it to the end of your life when you're supposed to know it all?
Nah, baby, you need help every step of the way.
Love is not going to wait until you are completely healed to find you. I
No.
promise you that.
No.
I don't
Because
even finish
take
a
away
meal
from your
before I
learning.
call on the dessert. You hear me? Like,
It
what?
takes
I
away
gotta
from your
save
learning.
20% of my stomach for this cake, okay?
Mhm.
So yeah, make sure
That's
you
how it
ask
goes.
for help. And that was my thing is like, it started with my immediate, and that's the thing, like, what can I do immediately? Right. And it's like, all right, I could cut out the TV time. And it's not so much the TV time, right? It's the World Star Hip Hops, it's the Bad Girls Club, it's the
All the
Kardashians,
negative
right?
TV.
Because those habits
It's
and
the throwing
behaviors,
drinks in your face TV.
first off, me and Love Island, I would have Joy
Oh,
would got famous
Lord.
for making the Huda would have been under, okay? Because sis, you not bullying the black girls of the bodegas of the bungalows because you have insecurities and your mom didn't check you
It's
and whatever daddy, you see what I'm,
baby, it's a whole nother world. A whole nother world that
I
you
don't live
don't
there.
even need to be worried about, but you worried
Right.
about.
So that's the thing is like that immediate process is that, right? And also this is one of the things that I realized if you don't want to cut certain people out of your life that you feel like aren't aligned with where you're trying to get,
Right?
try to introduce them. Cause that's one of the things is like my first go around wasn't I'm gonna cut you off because you're just so negative. I actually started to plant little seeds of like to see if they would engage, entertain any of the shit that I'm on, right?
Yeah.
And this is why you met my college best friend Honeylet. Shout out to my daughter's mother, my second daughter's mother,
Yeah.
Honeylet Theorota Rogers. She's married now. I'd be forgetting of that fifth name.
Yes.
But introducing her to the idea of like, yeah, I know you know me in this capacity and I'm fun and all these other
Yeah.
things, but I'm also going through a mental health journey. And this is kind of where I need help. She put me on journaling. She put me on vision boards. She put me on podcasts. We were already reading little anime nerds and video gamers. So we knew how to mentally escape. She was with me when I'm trying to lose weight in the gym. Like that's my thing is sometimes you may not have that person already ready there, but there are some people that'll go the journey
Willing
with
to
you.
do it with you. Yeah, that's a good friend. That's a good
That's
friend. I'm
you
willing.
mean you ready when I'm ready? Or
I'm
we finna get
supporting
ready
you.
together?
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like I need to lose 10 pounds too. Let's go. Come on.
And this has been a
What?
never-ending journey. She just had a baby, and this is one of the things where it's just like you already know, as a new mom, especially to a little girl, we want to be everything, all things. And we're the Velcro moms, right? Like I'm not finna give her to nobody. Don't know. This is my baby,
My baby.
right?
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, cool. I love that you're an amazing mother.
Yeah.
However,
Yep.
your husband, your mother-in-law, they both told me that you need some time to yourself. So how
Absolutely.
about I come for 2 hours, every Friday when I come down to
Mhm.
Tacoma, go to the grocery store. You want to go see a movie? Go see a movie. You want to take yourself to go get sushi? You just want some quiet?
Yeah. You time. It's important.
Because we know that is my thing is like
Yeah.
you were with me when I was struggling and needed somebody to show up. I'm right
Reciprocity.
back. I,
Yeah.
reciprocity, right? Be that change. Be
Yep.
that you were this to me when I was a single mom. And mind you, I know you got all these people in your corner to help you, but I want you to know we all can continue to help you. It ain't just their job. This is that community support. This is what that looks like.
It
But
is vintage.
just being that to that person is that's why we've been locked in for so long is we all have that ability to change. And even now I told her, I said, I'm struggling with my not so much my mental health but just my ability to be consistent.
Yeah.
So allowing me to have a schedule of 2 hours where people don't know this, I don't want no more kids. I love my daughter, she's perfect, this, the one and done gang. Okay, I
Gang.
uh,
Gang.
you
Gang.
one and done. Shout out to
What?
my future husband that's like, yeah, that's it. Because
Because I
no,
already got kids. That's what my husband. My future husband already got kids. And we
listen, that or his
Brady
nephews
Bunches.
is his kids, or his siblings is his kids. Whatever, however it
That's
look.
it.
We adopt a little village in Uganda.
We getting
How
a dog. Straight.
a
Straight.
fish, a fish, because I gotta be able to get up and go. You know what I'm saying? I don't really do the dogs no more. I got a fish. So just being able to be that support, but also like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm struggling with this, getting that baby fever fix, but also being able to be an aunt. Because my sister lives in Texas and I don't get to spend a whole lot of baby time. And it does make me feel better knowing that one, I still got the juice. Okay. I might not be nursing or making babies, but
I
pat
can do
pat
it.
on the butt, I got it. One bottle hand feeding, I got it.
Can do
The
it.
pro bur- I'm still that mom.
Made for this.
Right. I
Just
got
don't want to
this.
do it again.
Right. Don't want to do it again. I like rent a baby programs, but
Right. I like that too. I
right.
give them back. I give them back.
That part. I'm part of that club. But just being able to have that routine and for her to know like you have a community and all parts that you're changing is a big part. But like I said, knowing when to make those cuts to say, hey, it's not so much that someone's not capable of changing, but learning
Yeah.
when someone is not supposed to be part of the full story. Some people are just in little episodes of the Joy
One
Show. You know what
season.
I mean? Some people make guest reoccurrences. And this is what I'm
Yep.
just talking about. Like,
Background.
right, like, hey, you might pop back through it. That's fine, but the main characters is the main characters
Yes.
for a reason.
Always.
And that's truly, and give yourself grace. That is the other advice that I give. Like, as
Good. Yeah.
self-aware women that are always trying to be better, that are open-minded to a different reality other than our own. That I call us worldly. Christians don't really align with that world with me, but it's just kind of like I'm allowed to hold space for the whole world.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
Spiritually, holistically,
Yep.
visually, conceptually. I read enough to know that my viewpoint is a very unique experience and this is a one of one life. What that means is I got to hold space for the reality of others. It doesn't mean there's tolerance here or there is I have to own someone else's problem, like, or whatever issues you got, that's your baggage, and please don't unpack it because I will help you pack it back up. But
Come on.
to know that one, everyone's different, but also you should be afforded the grace that you give others, is a major thing.
For sure.
And to grow is to learn, and to learn is to make mistakes. And if the
Amen.
goal is to be better, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna
That's it.
figure it out. You're
That's
gonna
it.
figure it out. I
Well,
girl, we got so many gems. You know we could do
look,
this all day.
I'm like, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. How can the people get in touch with you?
Well, I just changed my social media handle for the first time in like 20 years. So I've been little underscore beliefs, right? But it's now the world, the number two, joy. That's on Instagram. I'm also on threads, same name. Uh, please don't find me on Facebook. My Facebook is for my government people, and this is where I'm like the people I work with, my grandparents. This is the PG place, right?
I'm so
LinkedIn,
excited.
if you need grant work or if you're looking to start a business or a nonprofit, whether it's local or federal, I do that as well. It's a free 1 hour consultation, and then services vary. But other than that, through you, they can hit you up and be like, we love Joy. If they want to see us
Bring
do
her
this
back.
more,
We
we
got
got,
more.
girl,
We have plenty of generational
listen,
and our
y'all don't
generational
know
curses
this.
are intertwined. They're very similar.
We wrote this chapter of our lives
Correct.
chaotically on yellow notepads that in the process of moving so many times because
Oh,
we were unhoused youths with
over
unstable
and over
single
again.
mothers that we love and care about.
Love.
But we lost that part of just, and that's the thing. I feel like we lived that experience, that the constant turn, the joys, the celebrations, those moments, and we've spent the last 30 years living that, and now we get to do a celebration. And that's really what our little stories was about. We didn't even know within the power we had of like manifesting this life of like,
Manifesting.
when y'all talk about city girls, we ain't talking about Cretia, okay? We
No,
not.
we talking
We
about
talking about,
city
listen,
girls.
Atlanta, Seattle. My
City
child is a
girls.
Queen Indian, okay? Like she is 206. And then and to be a Hilltop kid and be proud of that,
What?
y'all know,
Y'all don't even know.
listen.
This is real, y'all. Real. Thank you so
Of
much for coming.
course,
I love
baby.
you
Of
always. I
always
appreciate you
love,
always,
it's one
always,
forever.
forever.
What Pops used to say? We tight like filet mignon
Like filet mignon on the one.
on the one. All
I might
right,
go
girl.
crazy. All right. Bye.
Bye.